In this video, we'll be taking a look at two college basketball games happening on February 10, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these two college basketball games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. North Carolina versus Clemson. On Monday night, the North Carolina Tar Heels will travel to face the Clemson Tigers at Little John Coliseum in what promises to be an exciting matchup. This game marks the first encounter between these two Atlantic Coast Conference rivals during the current season. Historically, the Tar Heels have posted a record of 6-4 straight up and 5-5 against the spread in their last 10 meetings with the Tigers. Additionally, the over has hit in 8 of those 10 games, indicating a trend toward higher scoring contests. When these teams face off, the Clemson Tigers come into this game with an impressive record of 19-5 overall and 11-2 in conference play, following a hard-fought 77-71 victory over Duke in their most recent outing. Despite trailing 41-35 at halftime, the Tigers showcased their defensive prowess by limiting Duke to just 30 points in the second half to secure the win. Offensively, Clemson shot an efficient 58.8% from the field, 40% from beyond the arc, and 59.1% from the free throw line in that game. Prior to their triumph over Duke, the Tigers experienced a narrow 89-86 loss to Georgia Tech, but had previously defeated NC State 68-58. With 7 wins in their last 8 games, Clemson is currently tied for second place in the Atlantic Coast Conference standings. This season, the Tigers have averaged 77 points per game while allowing 67 points per game. They also boast strong rebounding and assist numbers, averaging 35.1 rebounds and 14.3 assists per game. Clemson's shooting percentages are equally noteworthy, as they are hitting 46.7% from the field, 77% from the free throw line, and 38.4% from three-point range. On the other side, the North Carolina Tar Heels enter this contest with a 14-10 overall record and a 7-5 mark in Atlantic Coast Conference play. Their most recent game resulted in a narrow 67-66 victory over Pittsburgh, which required a clutch basket late in the second half to secure the win. The Tar Heels led 35-32 at halftime, but struggled to maintain their advantage, ultimately relying on a late surge to pull through. In that game, North Carolina shot 48.1% from the field, 46.7% from three-point range, and 53.3% from the free throw line. Prior to their win over Pittsburgh, the Tar Heels suffered a disappointing 87-70 loss to Duke and a 73-65 defeat at the hands of Pittsburgh. North Carolina has lost 4 of their last 6 games and currently sits in 7th place in the Atlantic Coast Conference standings. This season, the Tar Heels have averaged 81 points per game while allowing 76 points per game. They also averaged 37 rebounds and 14.3 assists per game. In terms of shooting, North Carolina is connecting on 47% of their field goals, 74.3% of their free throws, and 32.7% of their three-point attempts. When these two teams met last season, they split their 2 games, with the visiting team winning both straight up and against the spread on each occasion. However, the dynamics have shifted this season, as North Carolina has struggled to establish themselves among the Atlantic Coast Conference's elite teams. In contrast, Clemson has emerged as a strong contender, particularly after their recent victory over Duke. The Tar Heels' recent performances have been inconsistent, as evidenced by their 17-point loss to number 2 Duke 2 games ago and their narrow 1-point win over Pittsburgh. Earlier, they needed overtime to defeat Boston College. Additionally, North Carolina has struggled on the road in Atlantic Coast Conference play, losing 4 games by an average margin of 10 points per game. Their road record against the spread is also concerning, standing at 2-5-1 this season. On the other hand, Clemson has covered the spread in 5 of their last 8 games against the Tar Heels, so the Clemson Tigers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Clemson's defense, which is allowing just 67 points per game, will likely play a pivotal role in this matchup. North Carolina's recent offensive struggles, including scoring only 67 points in their last game despite securing a win, could prove to be a significant factor. Clemson's ability to control the tempo and keep the game low scoring will likely result in the final score staying below the projected total. Given the current trends, the total for this game appears to be set a bit too high. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Baylor versus Houston. The Bears take the short in-state trip to take on the Cougars in Houston on Monday night. The Bears improved to 15-8 overall with a win on Saturday and are still in line for an NCAA tournament invite. The Cougars rolled to another win on Saturday to improve to 19-4 on the season as they chase a potential top 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Big Monday in the Big 12 has produced a number of entertaining games between NCAA tournament-bound teams, and this week's installment should be no exception, as the Baylor Bears will travel to Houston to take on the red-hot Cougars. Houston is 11-1 in just its second full season in the Big 12. But Kelvin Sampson's team is dealing with a bit of injury trouble heading into this game, as both Emmanuel Sharp and L.J. Cryer are dealing with injuries sustained in recent games. Sharp has missed multiple games of late with an ankle injury, and his status for this game remains to be seen. However, I do expect Cryer to play through a knuckle injury, as it's an emotional game for him, having played at Baylor for 3 seasons and winning a national title with the Bears. Regardless of who plays in this one, the Cougars' defense should be able to contain a Baylor offense that is very reliant on the 3-point shot. Furthermore, Houston is 7th in 3-point percentage on offense and 7th in offensive rebounding rate, while Baylor is 329th and 239th in those respective categories. I'd expect plenty of second chance points for the Cougars in this one, which should negate Baylor's ability to get out and force the issue in transition. On the other side, Baylor enters this game as winners of 4 of its last 6 contests. However, this is not an ideal spot for the Bears on the road, and they're also dealing with a couple of key injuries, including starting center Josh Ojianwuna, who is out for this game. Additionally, the backcourt trio of Jeremy Roach, VJ Edgecombe, and Langston Love are questionable, and while we can expect them to play on Monday, the effectiveness of all 3 players remains to be seen against one of the best defenses in the nation. Baylor's offense has also needed its best players to log big minutes in recent games, which could come back to bite them in a game against a Houston team that loves to choke the life out of its opponent with 40 minutes of ferocious defensive intensity. Houston has been dominant at home, going 12-1 straight up with an average margin of victory of plus 28 points. They're also covering the spread by an average of 5 points at home, which is the 20th best mark in the nation. Baylor have failed to compete when stepping up in competition this season. Here's a list of quality opponents that they've lost to on the road this season. Number 6 Gonzaga, number 25 Connecticut, number 3 Iowa State, Arizona, Brigham Young University, and number 13 Texas Tech. The Bears have continuously failed to keep pace against top-tier opposition on the road. The Cougars should have a distinct advantage on Monday night against a Baylor team that will come in banged up. Despite returning 2 key perimeter players in Edgecombe and Love, the Bears will likely be without a key front-court player in Ojianwuna. That could prove to be a death knell against a Cougars team that is dominant on the glass. The Cougars are also outstanding on the perimeter, likely mitigating the shooting prowess of the Bears with the return of some perimeter sharpshooters. The Cougars have also lost just once this season at home and are first in the Big 12 in scoring margin. While the Cougars have a propensity to turn the ball over, ranked 16th in the conference, the Bears are almost as guilty in that category, ranked just 13th in the conference. Offensively, the Cougars will dominate the perimeter. They are first in the Big 12 in 3-point shooting, and that will serve them well against the Bears, ranked just 16th in the Big 12 in 3-point defense. I still have my concerns about Baylor on the road. Don't get me wrong, Baylor's coming off of a great win against UCF, but any success that Baylor has had on the road has come against inferior opposition. Houston is one of the best defensive teams in the Big 12, and when Baylor faced a similar caliber defense on the road in Iowa State earlier this season, Baylor lost by 19 and was held to 55 points. I think at home we see Houston's defense wake up and shut down Baylor. The Cougars are sharp enough on both ends of the floor where I can see them winning this game by 10+ points. Scott Drew's team is one that I'll be interested in backing once they get fully healthy, but for now, I can't do anything but fade the Bears in this spot. This is just a bad matchup for the Bears, so the Houston Cougars to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Houston comes into this contest with an 11-1 conference record, and they will be at home for this game. The Cougars did lose at home against Texas Tech a few games ago, but they have been pretty dominant so far this season. Houston's offense is pretty average, but their defense is elite, as they are allowing 57 points per game this year. Baylor has alternated wins and losses over their last 5 games, and they are just 1-3 in their last 4 road games, with 2 double-digit losses. The Bears are shooting 45.9% from the field this year, and they have scored 81-plus points in 3 of their last 4 games. This will be an interesting game, as Houston has faced a little adversity over their last 5 games, but I do think we can hit this total with a struggling Baylor defense. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.